Hey everyone, Adrian Morrison here, and in this video about brand building, I'm going to help you try to figure out the pros and cons between starting a niche e-commerce store or a what I call super store. So we're going to go over the pros and cons. I actually run two big stores. One of them is niche and one of them is a super store. So I've got plenty of experience with both sides, and I'm going to break down for you the pros and the cons of each. So let's get started with niche stores. Okay, so some people pronounce it niche, some people pronounce it niche. Honestly, I have no clue how you're supposed to say it. So if you're wondering what a niche is, maybe you pronounce it niche. I don't know. But a niche store is something that focuses on a very specific passion. Okay, so for instance, my brother has a store, an e-commerce store that focuses on the beach in Destin, Florida. And I've helped a firefighter start a store that just focuses on firefighter type stuff. So that would be a niche specific store. Okay, now there are a pretty good bit of pros about a niche store, and one of the biggest pros is it's easier to develop a brand with a niche store. So if you're focusing on a very specific niche that has a passionate group of people, it is easier to establish yourself as a brand. And this is because you have more passionate customers hitting your store. They're more likely to follow with you. They're more likely to engage with all of your posts. And ultimately, you end up getting a higher conversion rate from niche stores. Okay, so my conversion rate on my niche store is about 2 to 3% higher than on my generic store. Okay, so significantly higher conversion rates, which means more return on investment. Okay, so that is because you have more passionate people, and you can kind of develop a cult-like following from your customers because they believe in the niche, they believe in the cause, and it's laser targeted specifically to them. So niche stores, they really do perform very well. And it is easier to choose products to market with a niche store because, you don't have that many options. It's not like you're going to go to AliExpress and find a million different things to advertise within your niche. When you focus on one specific category or niche, it does limit the amount of different things you can advertise. So you're less likely to spend a bunch of time with product research. It's much easier just to find things that plug in, to what your store wants to offer and what your customers want. And, you'll find that you can probably get 15 to 20 really nice products on your store without banging your head and racking your brain. Is this the best one? Is this going to do well? Because you don't have a zillion different things that you're looking at. So these would be the big pros of a niche store. Easier to develop a social brand, more passionate customers that are going to convert at a higher rate, develop cult-like followings on your Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter and Pinterest accounts. And it's going to be easier with product development to find products to bring to the market. All right, now I know that's a lot of great stuff, and you're probably thinking right now, well, it looks like niche store is the best way to go. But there are also cons. Everything has pros and cons. So one of the things that I ran into with my niche store is that I found it much more complicated, way harder to scale the business. There is a ceiling with niches, right? So whenever you want to scale your business, you may find that you have a limited amount of products that you're able to offer. You can't just go plug anything in. It has to fit, with that specific niche. So, there is a ceiling with this, and I've gotten my niche store up to $10,000 a day. So I'm not saying that you can't make a lot of money with niche stores and generate a lot of revenue. But what I am saying is at some point, you're just simply going to run out of stuff to sell. New ideas, that is. You can only come up with so many t-shirt designs, so many necklaces, so many hats, so many whatever it is. And after a while, it just starts to kind of feel stale. It lacks creativity after you've kind of run everything through its course, and it becomes harder to find really new hot products to sell, sometimes with a specific niche. And like I just said, there are a limited amount of product options to offer, when you have a niche store. So I have a buddy that said that he had a store that sold nothing but stuff with cows on it. And he does really well. He has very high ROI. Last time I saw him make a post about it, he was going crazy about how obsessed people were with cows and how much money they were spending. But I mean, there's only so many items that you can sell that have a cow on them, or an elephant, or a zebra, or a firefighter patch, and so on. So there's a limited amount of products you can offer, which means your customers have less to shop for. Okay? And every time you want to start a new niche, you want to say, okay, well, I'm advertising these firefighter products. Now let's do some thin blue line stuff, and let's start marketing police officer stuff. Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to do that if your store is a firefighter store, right? Or if you run a store that sells nothing but cow stuff. It's really hard to start selling like a veteran t-shirts and stuff like that. So every time you want to start selling something that's within a new niche, basically you have to start from scratch and create an entirely new different store, right? Which means another Shopify account, another customer service account, more costs when it comes to everything involved in the Shopify store, meaning like all the apps that you use on Shopify, they all have to be installed again on this new store. So you end up with more money and time just put into the business itself, right? So they can become expensive. I know people that run 5 to 10 different niche stores. So that means they have 5 to 10 Shopify accounts. They got to pay for all of the apps 5 to 10 different times. They have to have more employees to run customer service on each of the stores because everything is separated and it gets unorganized. It becomes a handful to run a bunch of different niche stores. So there are definitely cons when it comes to running a niche store. Obviously they're going to convert higher, and obviously you're going to have more passionate customers, but there is a ceiling and it's less cost effective and it takes more time as you want to grow the business. You can't just adapt with trends that are hot and top selling trends if they don't fit with your niche. You can't just throw random stuff on a niche related store. It starts to look out of place, right? So you definitely don't want to do that. Now, superstores are stores that focus on all niches and generic products. So they don't just sell sports stuff. They don't just sell firefighter stuff. They don't just sell women's necklaces that have cows on them. They sell anything and everything. And with a superstore, the pros are going to be it's way easier to scale the business. So yeah, my niche store at the peak was doing around $10,000 a day. My generic store on average does $8,000 to $10,000 a day. At its peak, I think it hit 20 grand or around 20 grand in a day on its biggest day. So double the revenue of my niche store, right? And my generic store has done over $1.5 million in revenue. My niche store has done about $500,000, right? So that gives you a little bit of perspective. And this is because I have the flexibility to test any niche or any product on a whim. So random things, like let's say we're heavily invested in marketing grandparent items. The t-shirts that have grandparent quotes, necklaces that say grandparent quotes on them, but we see some items in the nursing niche. Okay, well, I don't have to go build a whole new store called I Love Nurses. I just throw them on my generic store, create a new category called nursing, and I can put any nursing products on my store. I don't have to create everything again. I just simply have to put them on what I already got. So on my generic store, I'm selling all sorts of stuff, Second Amendment stuff, the pet knit, like cat socks. I'm selling cat socks, Second Amendment t-shirts, grandparent stuff, just all sorts of crazy niches. I've even sold hoverboards. So I'm able to easily adapt with hot trends. Every time I know there's a new hot trend, something's doing really, really well, I'm able to find the items very quickly on AliExpress, throw them on my Shopify store, and slam some ads out to it, right? I don't have to go start from scratch, build a new store surrounding that niche with a new email address, a new domain name, a new customer service desk. I don't have to do any of that. Everything plugs in seamlessly to a generic superstore. And these are far more cost effective. All right, so they may have a lower conversion rate, but they're also more cost effective, and they allow you to scale easily and generate more revenue. So you can do way more volume. So there's less cost for updates and operation. And more importantly, I want you to write this down about superstores or generic stores. You can learn while you earn. See, with a niche store, you may be very passionate about a specific niche, and a lot of people try to profit from their passion. I kind of say, look, you may be passionate about something, but nobody cares what you're passionate about. What matters is what's selling. Not everybody is passionate about what you're passionate about. So you need to think what's selling. Not what do I like, but what does everybody else in the world like. That's what's important. And with niche stores, you can't do that. Once you start a niche store, if it doesn't pan out, the profit margins aren't all that great, and you're wasting a lot of time to earn a little bit of money, that's what you've done. You've wasted a lot of time to earn a little bit of money. Now, if you want to start over and do something else, you really have to start from scratch again and build a new brand if it's for a new niche. But with generic stores, you can learn while you earn. Say you're very passionate about firefighting. Okay, well, you throw some firefighter type stuff up and you see that it's not really making any money and it's not converting. Okay, well, you know what? That didn't work out. So let's go and let's find some stuff within the pet niche. Boom. All of a sudden, you're able to hit a new niche within a couple of minutes. You can have the products on your store and a Facebook ad live. So you haven't done a whole bunch of work for nothing. There's been no real time or money wasted other than the amount of time it took you to put a product on a store and write a Facebook ad, which is about 15 minutes. So with superstores, you can learn while you earn. You can adapt with the market. You can adapt with what's selling. You can adapt with where the majority of profit is coming from. And then, if you want, you can break out, some niche stores after you know what niches are really generating big profits for you, right? So superstores, in my opinion, are the best way to go. Now, there are cons when it comes to your superstores. Let me just pull that slide up. So superstores have less of a viral effect when building your brand. It is harder to build a brand that people become passionate about when you sell a little bit of everything, right? People like specialty stores. They just tend to gravitate more toward a specialty store because of the passion, right? So your superstores are going to have less of a viral effect, and they are going to have less passionate customers, which is going to result in lower conversion rates. 9 times out of 10, a niche store is going to have a higher conversion rate. This can be countered, though, by creating niche Facebook fan pages. So, for instance, our firefighter store that I helped one of my friends build, they operate from one fan page. It's a fan page about firefighting. And it's really, just one fan page. With our generic store, we have an umbrella of fan pages. We've got fan pages in the Second Amendment niche, fan pages in the firefighter niche, fan pages in the dog and the cat niche. We've got fan pages just for literally everything, okay? And it's just so many fan pages. And that is what helps us pass through our Facebook ads, the niche effect. People see a Second Amendment fan page, and they're very passionate about their Second Amendment right in the US. And so they engage with that fan page, but when they click on a link to buy something, it takes them to my generic store, right? So one way that you can kind of fight the lower conversion rates for a generic superstore is by using multiple fan pages that are niche specific, and do all of your marketing through these niche specific fan pages that all will link to your Shopify store, to your generic store. Another con I've noticed with the superstores is, as I've built my email list, my open rate, the people that actually respond to my emails, is lower. So I have a lower open rate on my superstore. My open rate is almost double on my emails on my niche store, because people are more passionate, right, about the niche. So, there's pros and cons to both. That's why I do both, right? I do both. But my generic store is my massive moneymaker. I think if you're new and you're starting out, a generic superstore is the best way to go, because it allows you to make mistakes, be flexible, and offer new products that convert. If you make a bad decision on a niche and it's just not a good niche or high converting niche, you can easily adapt because you have that flexibility, and instantly start promoting stuff in different niches without having to do a whole bunch of work again. Now I'm going to show you an example of a niche store versus a generic store. So let's go live. Okay, so here we are in my web browser, and right now we are on a e-commerce store called Black Helmet Apparel. Now this focuses on firefighters specifically, okay? And that means everything on here has to do with firefighting. Thin red line, silicone bands, you got earrings, decals, looks like beer glasses, and watches, hats. There's all sorts of stuff on here, but everything has to do with firefighting. And there are only so many designs one can come up with for a firefighter t-shirt before you kind of just run out of ideas. Look, they've got a pretty good bit here, but at some point you run out of ideas and everything starts to kind of just blend together, right? So there is a ceiling for this store right here. There is a huge ceiling that they're going to hit, and eventually they're going to plateau, and they're not going to be able to grow much more because they're just able to advertise to people that are in the firefighter niche. You can't just throw another niche on here. You can't just start selling baseball related items on here, or football or pet related items on here unless somehow they have to do with firefighting. Otherwise, it would look really funky. You know, if somebody was on here selling let's just say a t-shirt with a funny grandparent quote on it, right? Or just a regular old set of silver earrings or a bracelet. It just wouldn't fit. You know, it just would look out of place. Now, here is another niche related store, but what they did is they went really broad with the niche, which I think was a really good idea for them. So this store is called Nine Line, and Nine Line, it kind of focuses on the same thing, but you can see that they have the ability to grow a little bit more because they've got their first responders category for they've got the thin blue line, thin red line, so they can do the firefighter stuff, the police officer stuff. They've got veteran inspired stuff right here, so they can start marketing stuff to the veteran niche. Then they got relentlessly patriotic, so they can market to people that are in, basically people that are diehard patriots. So, and then they've got the Second Amendment niche on here. So what they did with Nine Line is they allowed themselves some room, some flexibility to scale within a couple of different sub niches, right? Which I think was a really great idea. Now, if you come over here to this generic store, this is a generic store right here. It's called Ashley Bridget. They mainly sell women's stuff, but it's just all sorts of different niches in here. This is more of a generic store, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you what I mean here. Right now, they're marketing March Madness basketball stuff. But, I mean, let's just take a look here at all of the different options they have to choose from. Look over here on this left-hand category. They've got purses, the Expression Collection. All right, they've got Mindfulness, Relationship Collection, Angel Collection. But look, NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, college stuff, Hope, Mermaid, Sorority, Fairy Tale, Arabian Nights, Wonder Collection, Zodiac, Fantasy, leg warmers. I mean, they've allowed themselves the ability to scale into pretty much any niche, right? Sports related stuff, fairy tale related stuff. You know, it's more of a generic store, so they're not stuck into just advertising stuff with cows or about firefighters or about baseball, right? They allow themselves the ability to scale, and this is a huge company right here. One of the first companies I looked at when I started to do Shopify was this store right here. And, they just have the ability to adapt with what's selling. They literally could throw pretty much anything on here and it wouldn't matter. They could throw in like a men's section. I don't think they have one, but it wouldn't be weird if they did and start selling all sorts of like men's type jewelry. And they have the ability to adapt. So I think that generic stores are going to be much better. And you can go even more generic like this. Think Amazon, Walmart, Target, where you can just market anything, right? They focus on jewelry, but they're generic when it comes to jewelry. They can do any type of jewelry that they want. With a generic store, you have that flexibility and it doesn't look out of place when you want to add something new, right? So I think generic superstores are the best way to go. If you have a passion about something, sure, start up a niche store, but just understand that the superstores are the ones that have the scalability and the revenue generation. And of course, for me, that's what wins: scalability and more revenue, which leads to more money in my bank account, right? So they're both there. I just think that the superstores are the best. Actually, I don't know that. I'm sorry, I don't think that. I know it because my superstore does way more volume than my niche store. It's way easier to manage. It's easier when there's a slump to throw some new stuff on there and instantly, get back up to where I should be in terms of revenue. Whereas with my niche store, when there's a slump, there's just a slump. It's harder to find new products to just throw on there. So I hope this helps you decide between niche versus super. My opinion is go super store, learn while you earn, be able to adapt, be able to scale. It's more cost effective. You are going to sacrifice a little bit of, engagement and a little bit of conversion rate, but ultimately it's going to make your life easier, and you're going to make all of those losses up with the amount of revenue that you're going to be able to generate when you scale a generic superstore. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Go ahead to the next one.